That's right, Tiki here, and welcome to Uniting Universal Episode 2. This time, Pie on My Cake and I are going to talk about Worlds of Wonder, the second gate of Universal Australia, which of course is part of the So You Want to Be an Imagineer Season 15. Pie, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
It's not even nighttime yet, but I'm fine. I'm fine. I've lost track of time because of the Switch. The Switch is just like completely overtaken my life at this point.
Yeah, I think I know more about the climate and time of day it currently is in Hyrule than I do about the real life city I'm in.
And I feel the same way about Stardew Valley, so I'm right there with you. Anyway, so we'll be talking about Hyrule. We'll be talking about Kanto. We'll also be talking about a bunch of other stuff because we're talking about a very unique second gate to Universal Australia.
Oh yeah, I love how original just about every land here feels.
Mm-hmm. This park has a very good flow to it, and you can tell that just based on the map, where something I've always wanted from, especially a video game centric park, where a whole point of a video game is to explore, is a park that really feels like one cohesive environment. And from the map here, we have a couple nitpicks in terms of placement, like really silly stuff in the long run, ultimately. But I think this is a really good example of just like a great sort of, it's not necessarily a hub and spoke wheel design. It's more of an exploratory kind of, I like how there's branching paths. Like you see like the different bridges and whatnot.
Yeah, it just flows really well in the way it's laid out with a mix of almost like how Islands of Adventure or Epcot is designed around the lake and how Magic Kingdom has the hub and spoke. It's a blend of the two.
Yeah, like if anything, the Hogwarts Castle kind of serves as the hub.
Yeah.
But then again,
it reminds me almost more of Animal Kingdom's layout.
I could see that. I could see that. Oh, Pie, 37 days. 37 days, man.
Oh, you're gonna love it, man.
Oh, I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked. If there's one thing I love in my life right now more than the Switch, it's the fact that that's coming up.
Oh, yeah. You gotta see Festival of the Lion King when you're in Animal Kingdom. It's one of my favorite shows in the parks.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than it sounds, so I can understand not focusing on shows when you just have fun.
I like how you acknowledge that basically reskin parade floats under a circus tent doesn't sound like the most thrilling thing in the world.
No, it was quickly thrown together with leftover puppets on leftover floats, and it turned out to be really cool.
Well, look, we are going to be going to Animal Kingdom for 2 days at Rope Drop to experience Flight of Passage, hopefully. So we'll give it a chance.
That's just such a good ride.
Yeah, well, we have our strategies.
There you go.
It's
worth the wait, even if you have to wait a bit.
Well, I think I went over this last podcast, or if not off air, but our strategy is to just show up at Rope Drop, get there as early as we can, so we're as close to the front of the line as we possibly can be. And then just as soon as we get out, just get right back in line.
I don't know if they'll still be doing it, because this is what they were doing like a month or two after it opened, or the first few months after it opened, but they were secretly opening the park like a half hour early for Flight of Passage.
That's what I've been hearing as well. I've been hearing that if anything, they'll open the queue of Flight of Passage and have it so that you're literally on the ride right when the park opens.
Yeah. I would definitely say if you're trying to rope drop, do rope drop plus a half hour.
Oh yeah, easily plus a half hour. I mean, if anything, I get there an hour early. Like, that's kind of my custom anyways with Disneyland.
Well, there you go. A lot of the other parks, you don't really have to do that much, but for Flight of Passage, if you don't want to wait a long time,
especially if you want that coveted re-ride.
Oh, yeah.
Which, trust me, I'm all about the re-ride on that thing because I have no idea if I'll ever get back to Disney World in my life.
It's It's definitely something you're gonna want to do at least twice. It's like nothing else I've ever
We'll
written.
do it twice at the very least, but oh
Fair
man.
enough.
Anyways. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, but I'm also excited for this podcast, Pi, because this is going to be fun. It's going to be kind of fill in the blanks for us because this project isn't nearly as complete as the other project was. However, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because it just gives us a little bit more to talk about.
Right, there's a lot more we can speculate and add into it. Also, is it bad that I forgot we were on the air for a second there?
You forgot you were on the air when we were talking about Disney World.
But no, yeah, there's a lot more. There's a little bit more we can speculate on and fill in the blanks here because some of it's not as fully fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
What they have here is really great.
Yeah, like I said, if anything, it's like a really good kind of like outline.
Exactly. It's bullet points for a lot of it.
All right, so let's jump right into it with Victorian London. This is essentially a Main Street entry land set in 1899, and I like that. That's kind of a shout out to the year Alfred Hitchcock was born.
Yeah, it's nice little tied into the Universal and the movies and all that.
Kind of reminds me of how like 1955 and like 1901 get referenced a lot in Disney parks.
Oh yeah, everywhere.
All right. So it's interesting that it has a bunch of different landmarks in it.
Yeah, it's the type of thing that almost sounds like it could be a bit too busy, but if it's pulled off, could be really cool and immersive.
That's what I'm worried about, though. I'm worried that it's going to be too busy. I'm worried that there's a little bit too many things here to look at.
Yeah, I feel like with there not being a real attraction here, other than the transport stuff and the one theater show, I feel like that the land's not going to be big enough to hold all the stuff they want to put decoration-wise.
That's a good point. Yeah. You look at something design-wise like Buena Vista Street at California Adventure, and really the only solid landmark that has is Carthay Circle. Like, other than that, it's mostly just kind of interpretations of what the architecture looks like.
Yeah, it's more of the idea than actually stepping into it. But then again, that's the big thing with this park is all the lands are supposed to be like more like you're stepping into these worlds than interpretations of the worlds. So like inspired by Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
I guess we just have to look at it as like a bigger scale version of something like Buena Vista Street, which is obviously very small scale in the actual park.
Yeah.
Pi, have you been to Islands of Adventure?
Yes, because I'm a Florida guy, so I've been there a lot more than I have been to California Adventure, actually.
Cool. Glad to hear it. That'll be very helpful for this podcast. So,
Yeah.
how does Islands of Adventure? How do you think this stacks up with the Port of Entry?
I love Port of Entry just because it feels very simple in the way it does it. It really draws you into like you're going on an adventure, and it's all these shops feel like they're set up by different, almost steampunky adventure type feel, and it also feels very Disney because that's when the land's made by old Imagineers. Whereas this feels less like comparable to that, more comparable to like what we were talking about with like Main Street and things like this. It feels almost like its own land rather than entry land.
Which is fair.
Which still is very cool and it connects to a lot of things. I just feel like they could have added another ride or something here and made it a full land.
Or maybe even done a similar thing that they did with the Studios Park and had a sub area to the Main Street.
Yeah. Well, even the Studios Park had like 3 or 4 rides in their Main Street type entry park.
Which is ironic because I think you and I both agree that there was maybe a little bit too many attractions on their Main Street where this has too little.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposites of each other.
So, I don't know. You can't win with us, right?
Either way, even if it sounds maybe a little bit busy for the lack of stuff they have to actually do there, it also sounds like a very beautiful land. I'd love to just even walk around it.
Mhm.
And also, I'm
To
a
tell
big
you the
Sweeney
truth, it
Todd
kind of
fan.
reminds me of something they would do at Tokyo Disney Sea.
It, that's what I was thinking of while I was reading this. I forgot about that when we were talking about it. But yeah, Tokyo Disney Sea, this feels like something right out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Which is
actually been
fair.
there, but
Like,
from what I've heard of it.
never really attempted theming on that scale before.
Oh yeah. That would be a new thing for Universal to do.
All right, all right. I'm kind of more into it with that comparison in mind.
Yeah, it does feel like it would be very immersive and bring you into another world. And I love how easily it flows to the places around it.
Mm.
With the Hogwarts connection and Transylvania feels like a good, very easy connect. And same with the Wells Laboratories.
Well, like I said, just looking at the map, I really love how the first half of the park is kind of the urban area, and then it gets more into the jungle area as we go along.
Yeah, which, like we talked about off screen, the only thing that kind of sticks out a bit there is the Pokemon Land having the mix of the urban in there. But other than that, it all flows perfectly with that style.
Okay, so let's see. The only other attraction here is the Royal Victorian Theater, showing Broadway caliber entertainment. Um, I don't know. I kind of vote that they should do a Hamilton show here.
I like Hamilton. I love Hamilton, but with that being really set in America about America, that might not be the best fit for the London theater, though.
Well, yeah, but you could do like a King George centric show though.
Oh, I did love his character in that. If I can have the whole show from his perspective, that would be amazing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what like have it be like a 20-minute show, right? Just like different reprises of You'll Be Back.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Oh dear, it seems Alexander Hamilton has staged another coup.
Oh, I would watch that like just on repeat throughout the day. I won't even go into the rest of the park. My thought was something Sherlock Holmes, like a Sherlock Holmes show or musical, but your idea wins.
Right, and we already have Sherlock Holmes in the other park too?
Did we? I don't. Maybe.
I thought we.
I don't know. I think you more than that one.
All right. Anyways, what else do we have here in terms of dining? Anything stick out to you?
I like the Sweeney Todd meat pie shop, but really sticks out.
Pie, you haven't what? You don't watch Gotham by any chance, do you?
I watched the first season and then I just kind of fell behind and I haven't taken the time to catch up.
Okay, so Michael Cerveris, who played Sweeney Todd in one of the revivals, plays Professor Pig, and they did this wonderful sequence where he's singing a cannibalism version of Cell Block Tango, serving hostages like meat pies that are filled with people.
Oh,
Oh,
I
it's
need to get back.
you should look that up on YouTube just by itself.
Oh, I'm going to. I'm making a note right now to remember to do that.
Yeah, people pies.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right.
So Wells Laboratory, right? Or is there anything else you want to talk about?
This was honestly my favorite land in the park.
It sounds really incredible. Just
Yeah, I
love the
love
feel.
how. Go ahead.
That was the sentence. I just love the feel, love the look to it, and just has such a feeling to it.
Right, right. My favorite thing in it is the War of the Worlds coaster because that's such a good idea when it comes to mixing theme with the actual coaster.
Yeah, it gives them an excuse to do the giant outdoor ride without it feeling really out of place in the heavily themed area.
Right, like the coaster supports are like a huge part of the theme of the actual area, which is really inspired to me.
Yeah, it just was really clever how they did that.
Hmm. Pi, I think another IP that would be perfect for something like that, like the whole idea of the coaster supports themselves being a spectacle and part of the land is F-Zero.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Okay, could you imagine something like King Ka, but with a long track layout?
Oh, that would be awesome. I'm I
Like it would
personally am picturing
start with a
something more
King
like
Ka
Cheetah Hunt.
style, like Camelback.
That could just be an incredible ride. I'm right there for it.
And then they
We
could
just
theme
need the
the they
entire
could theme the
Nintendo theme park.
supports. They could have like the little, the things on the side that give you damage.
Oh yeah, there's so much they could do with subtle theming in there
Mhm.
that they could use to build the supports and the ride around it.
Right, right. Yeah, F-Zero is
And,
always a ride I've wanted to see.
oh yeah, and it's not like you even need a whole F-Zero land because his aesthetic and world could easily fit in with like Metroid or Star Fox too.
Exactly, exactly. Speaking of F-Zero Pi, have you should play Fast RMX on the Switch.
Fast RMX.
Fast RMX.
Okay,
If
I'm
you
gonna
like
write that one down.
F-Zero, that's about the closest thing you're going to get to F-Zero on the Switch.
Okay, I'll have to check it out because I mean it's been a while since I played, but I used to love the F-Zero game on the GameCube.
Oh God,
That
yes.
was
Oh, that's
fun.
such a good one. Oh my God.
I need to see if I can still have that. Oh, but yeah, the theme park we're talking about.
So, what do you think of the time machine?
Uh, Time Machine sounds cool. There's not too much here, but I've always thought a time machine type ride could work really well, and I think they didn't have to make it a thrill ride. I think it could have been done with just like an Omni Mover Doom Buggies type thing.
I think it could even be done as like an alien encounter style show
Yeah,
where the time machine
that
is
could
like in
work
the
too.
center of the theater and the audience like goes along with it.
Yeah, like time travel is such a concept that has so much excitement in it that I feel like you almost don't need a big, expensive ride system to bring it to life properly.
And I gotta say, Pi, I went on Transformers at Universal Hollywood. I was so underwhelmed.
Mhm. Yeah, I gotta say, the Spider Man one is so much better.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I'm still stoked for Spider-Man, but the Transformers one was just like I was just like, this is it. This is literally just screens. I don't feel immersed at all.
Yeah, no,
Like, there's
the
not even
Spider,
that much movement in that ride.
yeah, the Spider Man one has. It's still a lot of screens, but has more practical effects and even a couple more like subtle things to help sell it. And there's a bit more movement to the cars to go with it.
Hmm.
Whereas Transformers, like you said, it's just screens. If they were going to do that, they should have just made a standard simulator. There's no reason to spend that much money on something that barely moves.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, it's funny. Like, I have a video on my channel of us going through the studio tour, including the King Kong section, like the Kong 360. And you can hear me
Yeah.
say, how is this more thrilling than Transformers? Because literally, Kong
Yeah.
360 is like, it's just a screen, but it's done better than Transformers is, I think.
Well, because Kong does a lot of things that interact with your car, but not in ways that feel forced like they do in Transformers.
Right, right. Anyways. Okay, let's
Yeah.
see. What do you think? The Island of Dr. Moreau is an attraction that kind of fascinates me.
Oh, same here. Like I think that sounds like something that could be really interesting.
Like,
Almost
would it be an
like a
actual
haunted house
zoo? Would it be like
walking through.
animatronic animals?
Yeah. I will say though, I almost would rather wish they had put that Fantastic Beasts area with the enchanted creatures than here.
Really? You think so?
Well, I don't know. Here it does work really well because it have the like almost horror
I think
element to
Dr.
it.
Moreau's got its own feel to it, where Fantastic Beast is almost kind of more in the Star Wars vein of like fantastical creatures.
True. Dr. Moreau would be easier to do feel and real and more intense too.
Right, right.
I'll give you that one. But either way, I love the concept. I was really disappointed they didn't do something like that with Pandora when that opened, of having a walkthrough with animatronic zoo.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. And oh yeah, I agree. I wish they would have done that with Pandora. I mean, I assume the land itself is immersive enough that it kind of makes up for it.
Oh yeah, totally. But for it being in Animal Kingdom, I was hoping it would have like a quote unquote animal walking trail.
I've always thought that they should do that with Jurassic Park too.
They used to have the Triceratops encounter.
No, but I'm talking something bigger scale than that, though.
Okay, like a whole walkthrough thing, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm talking like a full scale, like D-ticket, like Poseidon's Fury style thing.
Yeah, something like that would be really cool for Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah. Okay, anything stick out to you about the restaurants or shops here?
I mean, like First Menu on the Moon sounds really cool, and all of them do.
Honestly,
But
I think they got a little too cutesy with the names. Like
maybe a little.
Like DCA 1.0 a little bit, like, oh, Malaburritos.
Maybe a little bit, but I'm such a sucker for bad puns that I personally can't excuse it.
I guess.
But I get what you mean.
On my end.
Yeah, they might be a bit too on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right.
Yeah. And
all right, so should we move on to Skull Island then?
I think so, yeah.
All right, so should we talk about like the placement, like Pokemon versus Skull Island for what should be the transition?
Yeah, might as well talk about that now.
Okay. Personally, I'm on the side where I think Skull Island would work well as a transition if they tweaked a few things here. I feel like if they either used sort of like a brief New York City set piece and had that be the theater, or if they had the Venture as kind of like a set piece, like a dock or something to kind of be a transition. As it stands now, I sort of agree with Pi that a Pokemon land would be a better transition from an urban area
to the forest, because they have the urban and the forest in Pokemon.
Right, right.
And that would also separate the two Nintendos to be two separate lands, because with them being next to each other, a lot of people are just going to treat that as one large Nintendo land.
Which, I mean, really, that's not such a bad thing, because that is pretty much a Super Nintendo land.
True. Especially if they added some kind of like transport between that and the Mario land in the other park.
Or what if they somehow did like a pipe transportation system?
That would be awesome.
I don't know how they could possibly do that, but that'd be amazing.
Like it could even just be a subway between the two.
Oh man. Just can you imagine just literally like coming out of a pipe, like taking some sort of elevator and literally coming out of a pipe into the Mario land?
That would be incredible. I absolutely can't think of a safe way to do that in a theme park, but still, I want that to.
I don't know. Maybe if it was just like a big elevator themed to a pipe, you know, if the pipe itself was like bigger than you would actually see in a Mario game.
Something like that. And they add like some steps coming down so you don't have to jump off the pipe.
Well, yeah. But the most important thing is that you get that, you know, that sound effect as you're coming out of it.
Oh, yeah. But since this is a dream park, I'm going to imagine some tubes like Futurama that just shoots you between the two pipes.
Oh my god. All right. So Skull Island, though, this is interesting because it's essentially like practicality speaking, it's like Jurassic Park, but just reskinned a little bit.
Yeah, but in like a way that separates it enough from the Jurassic World they have in the Universal Park.
Mhm.
It's clever.
I love the idea of a wooden coaster for Universal. They need to get on that.
Yes, I before they built the King Kong ride in Lines of Adventure, that's what I want them to put in the Jurassic Park world or land over
Mhm.
there. Wooden coaster got such a nice energy to it. I like how they say it's seemingly built from bamboo, so it stays more with the theming too.
That's so good. That's such a nice touch. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a subtle detail, but one that would be rather easy to do in a real life standpoint, and would go a long way.
So how do you picture the river adventure working? Do you picture it literally just being pretty much the same dinosaurs but with a King Kong skin? Or to me, I think it would be cool if you had some more of like I almost wouldn't even I would set this during Kong Skull Island. Have you seen that movie?
I did. I did not expect to like that one, and I walked out loving it.
It's so good, right?
It
um
was. It came
I
out of
love
nowhere
the
for me.
creature design in Kong Skull Island.
Oh yeah. What were they, the Skull Crushers or whatever John C. Riley called them?
Right. I'm not even talking about those guys. I'm talking about just in general, all the like the stick bugs and stuff and like the
Yeah,
yeah, just really good stuff overall, and I like the fact that that movie wasn't just dinosaurs.
no, it was all kinds of different like monsters and creatures and larger than life things.
So in that regard, that's what I'd like to see for a King Kong ride. And plus, it would differentiate itself
Yeah.
from the Islands of Adventure King Kong ride, which is very much Peter Jackson King Kong.
Oh yeah. Which does also have some interesting creature design, and in the Islands of Adventure version of it, at least, they use a bit more of them in there, but I want more different types of creatures and more animatronic ones, not just screens too.
How is the King Kong ride at Universal compared to Kong 360?
Well, I've never been to Hollywood, so I can't say exactly, but I know there's one segment of it that is just the Kong 360 segment.
I assumed.
That's like the main thing in the ride. There's not too much more than that, other than the big animatronic Kong at the end. But it's good. It's neat. I don't think it's as good as people make it out to be, but I like it.
I mean, the exterior is incredible.
The exterior is the best part. The exterior
Sure,
is the best part. Your Jeeps has a different guide, so even though it's like a pre-recorded automatic car, they each have like several different personalities, so it feels like you have a live guide, even though you don't.
I've also heard they have scare actors in the queue. Is that true?
I didn't see that, but I also only rode that ride either through the single rider line or when it wasn't super busy.
Hmm.
So I never saw that personally. They did have a really impressive animatronic in the queue.
It's that slug creature, right?
Well, yeah, they have that too, but they have like an actual native or islander or
Oh,
someone who
okay.
lives on Skull Island animatronic too.
Nice, nice.
Unless that wasn't an actual person, but it felt rather real. I mean, it felt more animatronic.
All right.
Just kind of stood there.
So getting back to this park though, I'm not really sure about the idea of a Broadway musical style King Kong show.
Yeah,
Brian, are you
it's
familiar at all with Creature from the Black Lagoon, the musical?
in a very vague sense. Yeah.
Spazmaster, who's part of some jerk with a camera's crew, did an extended review on it. And yeah, it's just as bad as it sounds, and I just worry that a King Kong musical would go down that same route.
Yeah,
Um,
I like the idea behind it, but I feel like that's gonna
here's
be
what I
a
think. totally do with Kong. I think they should totally do an alien encounter style animatronic show with Kong.
That would be really cool.
Like, just have a 20-foot King Kong animatronic, then have a segment where the lights go out and he's like thrashing the theater, have your seats move and shake and have him breathe on you and stuff.
That could be really cool.
Oh god, it'd be terrifying too, especially with an animatronic that big.
Honestly, have you ever watched anything or read anything about the old King Kong ride they had in Universal Florida?
Dude, I went on the tram tour version of it in Hollywood back in the day before it burned down.
I didn't know it burned down in Hollywood.
Yeah, it
Wow.
did, unfortunately.
Okay. But yeah, the Florida one is a longer, full-size version of that, except for you're in a suspended car that even will like shake and go up and down, so it feels like King Kong is grabbing you.
Right, with the studio tour, it was the same sort of thing where the tram was on kind of an elevated platform that would go up and down.
Yeah. But the point is, even if it's just a one-room thing like that, like what you're describing with the Alien Encounter, something where Kong is like pretty much attacking you and Kong is actually like the villain almost, could work really well.
And I feel like with the river adventure ride, King Kong would be more the hero, defending you against the monsters. Whereas with this, it'd be like, King Kong in his primal state. So you'd kind of get the best of both worlds with Kong.
Yeah. Something like that. I think something like that would work better than a Broadway style show. So it is an interesting idea. I'm just not sure how that would turn out.
All right, so let's get into the dining because I think this might be some of the best dining in the park.
Oh, I agree with you 100% there.
So I love the idea of dining on the Venture. That's absolutely something I would spring to get reservations for on a trip.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it'd be such a great experience, and you feel a great mix of fancy and themed too.
I've got to admit, Pi, I'm like a sucker for nautical theme. We have reservations for the boathouse at Disney Springs.
I like the nautical house theme too. I never actually got to eat at the boathouse, but it always looked very nice.
I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
All right, and then of course Venom Diner.
Oh yeah, I want them to not have any of the menu items say what they actually are. Like if it's a chicken dish, I want to say like, oh, this is the black clock beast found on the island or something.
Oh god. I like how the dining has a different like Gondwana Jack's has Asian inspired cuisine.
Yeah, it's very clever how they do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into the big one, Pi. Let's get into Pokemon, the Kanto region.
Yay, Pokemon.
I would wager to say just because you and I are big nerds, this is probably going to be the one that takes up the most time.
Probably. Because I grew up on Pokemon. I had an old... It was actually just a piece of cardboard I painted as a kid. I was into it.
So Pokemon, I feel, is something that could lend itself to a whole park easily.
Oh yeah, there's so many different, even just in a single game, there's so many different diverse regions you can do. A single
region could be a park. That's kind of the point.
Oh yeah. So trying to compress
lands, each town would be a different land with, and my idea is that it'd always be like a mix of an augmented reality game where you have like a Pokedex and you're walking around catching Pokemon and stuff and earning badges. Like you could do that, or you could just do the e-ticket rides.
Oh yeah, mixing in things almost like Pokemon Go special. Well, they have something like that here with the Gotta Catch 'Em All, where they describe it as a landwise scavenger hunt sources of the Magic Kingdom type thing.
Right, which is cool. I just think you could apply that to a whole park and it'd be incredible.
Oh yeah. Pokemon Go was fun enough, and pretty much the only gameplay that had was swiping up repeatedly.
I never got into Pokemon Go, I'll admit.
It was fun when I had a big group of people from my church that got into it together. But then when I went back to college, it was like, oh man, when I'm not with 20 other excited people, this is a bit less exciting.
Right, right. Yeah, I just remember like wandering around the neighborhood one evening like a creep by myself, and I was like, nope, this ain't for me. I don't have friends.
Yeah, that's something. I was lucky I was in the right place at the right time for when it came out to have a group of people that were into it too.
And then I went to Disneyland like right at the height of it, like in July of that year, and that was
Oh,
awful pie. That was miserable
yeah.
because so like literally the whole park, people were treating it not as a park but as an extended gym, right?
Oh, yeah. Especially, I'd imagine with Disneyland, even worse the Disney World, since that's more of the locals park.
Exactly, exactly.
No, Pokemon Go got bad enough in the parks that even last spring, when I started my college program, like a year after the craze had died down, they were warning me in orientation to keep an eye out in backstage area for people who look like they're just playing Pokemon Go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they gave me a little warning.
Wow. All right. So the rides here, Mewtwo versus Mew. I kind of hope it's a Coaster Dark Ride hybrid.
Yeah, almost like a Space Mountain Junior.
In a way, I can see that. Uh,
Yeah,
Pokemon Snap, I've always vouched should be a Pokemon e-ticket attraction.
it would just work so well in a mix of Jungle Cruise with Buzz Lightyear with a Pokemon theme.
Mhm. I mean, playing the game itself feels like you're going on a theme park ride, anyways. It's got a track.
Yeah, it's got a track. It's got all the characters just kind of standing up there in
Right,
displays.
right, right. Like in cycled animations.
Exactly.
Oh god.
This would take like 5 seconds of designing by an engineer to turn into a ride. It would be so perfect.
Mm. Okay, so the carousel of Pokemon and the Pokeball spin, both very logical things you can do with Pokemon.
Yeah, I think they could have done something better than Pokeball Spin, especially since they had a teacup style flat ride in the Mario Land. But it's still nice.
Yeah, at the same time though, Pi, I mean, you know, there's a Dumbo style ride in what, like three of the four parks in in not Animal Kingdom, but like
Magic Kingdom.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's one in Animal Kingdom, one in Magic Kingdom.
No, there's 3 in Magic Kingdom.
There's oh god, you're right. Oh Jesus.
4 if you count both Dumbos separately, because there's the 2 Dumbos, the Astro Orbiter, and the Aladdin.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's Triceratops Spin.
And then yeah, and then Triceratops spin, which is just the most pointless thing in existence, in my opinion.
I, I can say I'm one of the few Dinorama apologists out there, but even I gotta say that the Triceratops Spin could have done without that one.
I will say I'm vaguely looking forward to the Primeval Rural.
Primeval World is really fun.
It looks fun.
You
It
can
looks
get
fun. It looks like it has a good layout to it.
yeah, it's
I
really
like how
fun.
it's
It's
a bit of
really
a track coaster.
yeah.
Anyways,
Oh yeah,
I
I'll
hope
say
they
this
have
though.
a
I
fast
have
pass for that at some point.
oh, you don't need a fast pass for Primeval World. I mean, if you got an extra free fast pass, you can, but for unless it's like the peak of the day, you're only gonna be waiting 20 minutes at most.
Well, that's the thing. Like, just to cut down on the 20-minute wait, if anything.
Okay, if you got an extra fast pass, go for it. But Cali and the Safari are both gonna have much longer waits.
I actually don't think we have I think I swapped out my fast pass for Dinosaur.
Okay, Dinosaur's a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
That one doesn't always have as long a wait because it counts the pre-show into wait time, but it's still that one can be a bit more of a wait.
Hmm. All right. So we already talked about the God of Catch 'em All. What do you think of the Pokemon League tournament?
It sounds like it would be really cool. I don't know exactly how they plan on doing it. Like, is it meant to be like a 3D movie or animatronics or a stage show, some really creative puppets?
You've got to think that since it's the Kanto region, they're only going to use the original 150. So, in that regard, it wouldn't be impossible to get 150 animatronics for a stage show.
True. I mean, it would be
Especially if some of
impressive.
them are like Pidgeys and Weedles and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of them would be pretty simple. You don't even really need anything but a light bulb in the center of it for like Staryu and Starmie.
Right, right. And then, of course, the bigger the ones, the more complex. Like, I imagine Charizard would be a showstopper.
Oh yeah, I mean Charizard would be a showstopper just because how much of a fan favorite he is.
Mm-hmm. And then I imagine the legendaries would only come out like very, very rarely.
Yeah, they either always come out very, very rarely, or like maybe even just see them like their shadows at certain parts fly
Ooh,
over
I
the
like
theater or
that.
something like that.
I like that.
Keep it mysterious. Because you don't need all the Pokemon on at once. Even with just Ash versus Team Rocket, you just need like 5 or 6 total, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What would be the most complex Pokemon out of the original 150 to do an animatronic form?
Hmm. Probably. What was the rock snake thing? Not Geodude. Well, Geodude would be pretty complex
The
because he
rocks?
has to fly. The one that Brock had. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh, Onyx. Onyx.
Onyx. Yeah,
Yeah, that
Onyx
would
would
be
be
pretty.
because of size and
Just for the size, yeah, but Onyx doesn't really have many sophisticated movements, though.
yeah. Geodude might be difficult just because he has to fly.
That's true. That's true. You could
Yeah.
like attach him to a wall or something.
Do something like that, or have him sit on someone's shoulder, even.
Uh-huh.
Ditto if they try and make him look all globby or move, but if they just kept him as a solid thing, he'd be simple.
I'm thinking Tangela,
Oh, that would be a tough one.
right? Like that's a very obscure Pokemon. Like I remember the card for Tangela sucks in the card game.
Yeah. I don't know how tough that one would actually be though, because you could basically just make the tangles around it be practically just pool noodles and then just give the animatronica programs that shakes a little bit so they look like they're moving.
Oh wait, no, hold on. I've got the answer. I've got the answer. And the answer is
Okay.
clearly Gyarados.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Because I mean, you pretty much have to have water for Gyarados.
Is Gyarados one of the originals?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, yeah, I think you got that one.
All right, all right. We spent way too much time on that.
Oh, yeah, we totally did. Anyways, yeah, Pokemon Land. Sounds really cool. I like the stage show. Having a little playground is nice. Cafe Snorlax. Pokemon Center. I almost wish they did that more like the Discovery Center and the Jurassic Park
Uh-huh.
and Islands of Adventure and having little displays set up, but still nice.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
move on to Zelda's Hyrule.
Ooh,
I
yes.
honestly think including Zelda in the title of this was a little unnecessary.
Yeah, but it also feels like something they would do.
I just feel like Hyrule in itself, it's like it's such an iconic, recognizable kingdom.
I I agree with you, but I also feel like it's a realistic touch because, like, They didn't just call it Hogsmeade or Hogswood. They called it the Wizarding World of Harry Potter to make sure Harry Potter's in the name.
Hell, they didn't even call Cars Land Radiator Springs.
Yeah. As much as I'm with you, I think most people would get what Hyrule is. I don't think it's kind of a realistic touch to name it that.
Maybe I just feel like Zelda's Hyrule doesn't really roll off the tongue that well.
Yeah, they could have done something a bit different with the name. But I think naming it something other than
Like
just
the world
Hyrule.
of Zelda, Hyrule.
Yeah, Hyrule the World of Zelda or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Hyrule the World of Zelda. Yeah.
Something like that, where they can still just call it Hyrule, but they have this is the thing with the Zelda for people who aren't as familiar. Like how parents can say that the Pokemon land this is the one with the Pikachu.
Right.
Let's go to the Pokemon theme park. But yeah, Hyrule.
Okay, so let's talk about the Breath of the Wild flight simulator.
Sounds cool.
Man, oh man, I have ideas for this.
Go for it.
Okay, so my idea would basically be instead of doing it as Breath of the Wild, it'd be themed to Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
And you're riding on a Deku leaf. Now, Pi, how the ride system would work is you would essentially have your arms and legs strapped in, but you'd be like in a stand-up position. And
so like a standing flight of passage?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
But here's the deal. You actually are holding on to what feels like leaf. So like your arms are bound by the wrists, right? To keep you in place. But you actually grab onto the leaf.
I like that. That could feel really cool and immersive if they pull it off right.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's a material that like, you know, it's kind of like a handlebar, but it's just like, you know, it's filled like with a leafy kind of crunchy substance to it. You know, just a little touch to make it that much more immersive.
I like it.
All right. Anyways, the catch of this ride is that you would be able to change positions. So you start out in a flying position with the Deku leaf where you're holding on to it. You know, you're gliding down like Link would glide down. And then at a certain point, you hop onto a glider and you start gliding around. And with the glider, your vehicle basically lays you on your stomach. Like it goes from a standing position to a horizontal position.
Oh, that could be cool.
And then I could even imagine it like somehow getting you into a position of feeling like you're riding a horse.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of engineering that would have to go into doing that safely, but if they pull that off, that could be incredible.
All right, so that's generally my idea. I'm just fascinated with the ride system of Flight of Passage. I can't wait to experience it firsthand.
It's really cool. For a ride that's just screens that I wasn't expecting much for, it really pulls it off nicely.
Like, I wouldn't be excited about I'd be more excited about River Journey if it weren't for the hype.
Yeah. River Journey is really cool.
I hope it's cool.
Feels like it's missing another minute of
that both days.
It feels like it's missing about a minute of ride.
Okay.
But what's there is really incredible. Like honestly, some of the best dark ride stuff and effects I've seen.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
But yeah, it's really cool.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how they're gonna do the Twilight Princess interactive dark ride.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about that just because I'm not a big Twilight Princess guy.
Yeah. would be interesting seeing how they translate. It sounds almost like a Toy Story Mania, but the ride vehicle makes it feel like you're on a horse, and the weapons are arrows. But I'm not sure exactly how that would translate well to a ride system.
Well, keep in mind they did have something on the Wii called Link's Crossbow Training, which came with a peripheral.
True. So they could give you a crossbow instead of regular bow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My big thing is the horseback for a ride system like that.
They could use
It
Pony
feels like
Express.
true. It would be tough to get large volume with that, but that would work.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's a different story. I mean, they could always just do multiple tracks.
Yeah, they would need some kind of like multiple tracks, or maybe just sacrifice a bit of the immersion and just say it's close enough to a horse, like they do with the bikes on the ET ride.
Exactly. I still haven't. I still don't know how that works with the ET ride, by the way. So don't spoil it for me.
Oh, I will. It's a good one. It's a weird one, but it's a good one.
Nice. Oh, I'm sure it's weird. I definitely want to marathon that at least 2 or 3 times while I'm there.
Go for it. I mean, it's the only opening day attraction that's still left, I believe.
It is. You're right.
Yeah, you want to get that in while you can.
Especially because it's right next to the footprint for Super Nintendo Land.
Yeah, there's only so long Steven Spielberg's gonna get them to keep that one open. Let's be real. He's got a lot of pull, but there's a limit.
Yeah, we'll see. So, go ahead.
I like the Wind Waker boat ride too, mostly because I love Wind Waker. Would have been nice if it was more of a dark ride than just a boat ride around the park.
Have you read the proposal for Torrents of the New World?
For what one?
Torrents of the New World.
I don't think so.
That was a So You Want to Be an Imagineer project in season 11, I believe. It was for a Wind Waker ride that would incorporate water cannons into it.
Ooh.
So the idea is that you'd be able to like pump water into a water cannon, like as like from the flume that you're traveling down.
I like that. And then you like shoot at targets, basically.
Exactly.
I like that. Feels like it could be done in a really clever fashion and have a lot of cool things come out of it.
Right.
But yeah, I like the Wind Waker boat ride here. I just feel like they could have done more with it.
They even could have made it more like Aquatopia.
That one is almost like Autopia, but with boats, right?
Well, no, it's a trackless ride, so it's kind of like Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters, but in the water.
That's cool. Yeah, something like that could work too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so obviously you need a Zelda dungeon walkthrough, and they have that with the Forest Temple, so nice there.
Oh yeah.
I love the idea of eating a Kakariko's chicken.
Cuckoos, they're not chickens.
Could you imagine if they had some way to incorporate the idea of like if you're eating one of them, like you can get ganged up on?
Like have animatronic chicken or animatronic cuckoos throughout the land, and if you buy a turkey leg, they all start staring at you with red eyes.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I love the idea.
I'm not sure about
the being like a high-end shop.
Oh yeah, it would be incredible if they did it right, because it has such a classy, elegant atmosphere in that.
I would definitely spend some time in the Majora Mask shop.
Oh yeah, it would definitely be a creepy shop to walk into, but an interesting one.
Majora's Mask is probably my second favorite 3D Zelda after Wind Waker.
Oh yeah, Majora's Mask is really great. It almost feels like a completely separate thing from everything else, though. It's tough to compare it to like Ocarina of Time or Skyward Sword or
You're right about
any
that,
of
but
the
I like
others.
it specifically for the linear gameplay in it.
True, it walks taking the Zelda formula and kind of evolving it. I wish more Zelda games did things like that.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to Hogsmeade, which this will go by really quick because it's essentially a clone.
Yeah, I like the Hogsmeade, and this is Hogsmeade, so
I like the idea of a Whomping Willow flat ride, though. That's clever.
oh yeah, I would like them to do something like this in real life.
Hmm.
That's one of the few things that like super jumps out at me of like, oh, why do we not have that?
From an
Same
Imagineering
thing
point
with
of
the
view,
hippogriff.
can we just talk about how much of a masterpiece Forbidden Journey is?
Oh, it's really incredible. It's so well done.
It blew away every expectation I had for it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like any park that has Forbidden Journey in it, to me, it's like done, sold. You automatically make your park better by having that in there.
Exactly. I I will say though, I still personally like Spider-Man more than Forbidden Journey.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Well, Forbidden Journey, as incredible as it is, the transitions from the screen parts and the not screen parts still feel rather jarring a lot of the times. Whereas while Spider-Man doesn't have as much of the incredible movement that Forbidden Journey does, those transitions are a lot smoother.
But Forbidden Journey has the incredible set pieces, though.
It does. I do love having like the Whomping Willow and the Dementors and
Oh
things
God,
like
Pie!
that.
The first time I saw the Whomping Willow room, I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I go
so
back and
great.
forth between those two a lot. Forbidden Journey is pretty fantastic.
I mean, and then the Dementors, and to me, the great thing about Forbidden Journey is the mix of screens and practical. I mean, you're right; the transitions aren't perfect, but just all those I'm a big practical effects guy, and so I walked into Forbidden Journey expecting like a couple animatronics and a lot of screens, and what I got was like a couple screens and a lot of animatronics,
Yeah,
and I
they
love
do
that
a
so much.
lot. They do a lot of really well done practical sets and effects there.
All
Like
right.
even just little bits like the dragon and stuff like that.
Whenever I see the dragon, I just think of my podcasting compatriot Blue Dragon 5, and I imagine him giving me a lecture about Batman or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, actually, Tiki, Captain America first appeared as World War II propaganda.
I'm just picturing in my head the dragon from the ride saying that now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
picture when I write it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's kind of like on the Knott's Berry Farm log ride, there's a section where you go through the forest and there's a bear and he's meant to be scary in the actual ride. But then they did a Halloween overlay that I went on, and the bear, instead of being scary, he literally just says, "Trick or treat." It's hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, so I think we're kind of wrapping up here. What would you rather see? Something based on hippogriffs or something based on Quidditch?
Um, I would vote Quidditch. I mean, I guess they kind of cover that in Forbidden Journey, but Quidditch is such a big part of the books. Was the Hippogriff, as much as I love it, was just kind of into one.
Yeah, I tend to agree because I feel like Quidditch could be its own standalone attraction, whereas Hippogriffs is just another flying dark ride.
Yeah,
All right. And then
I
basically everything else is just kind of a clone of what's already there.
Yeah. I like the idea of the Hogwarts Hotel.
I do too.
I
That's
don't know
something
the
that I
crack.
think is natural with a little bit more space.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how practical a hotel in the dead center of a park is.
Right. That's something that we've all long since speculated on.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, what if someone goes out for the day and comes back and it's a minute after park closing and I have to sleep in their car in the parking lot?
Oh God. Oh God.
Yeah.
All right.
We just want to TGI Fridays. Now we're homeless.
So let's move on to the final land of the night, Transylvania, which I just think that yeah, this is just this is going after my own heart here, Pie.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
Um, I love the idea of doing a Revenge of the Mummy ride, but theming it to Karloff, just having like subtle theme touches.
Yeah, I admittedly don't know enough about the Call version to know how exactly that would work in some of the parts, but I like it.
I mean, it'd be tricky. I essentially imagine you'd have like an animatronic Karloff instead of animatronic Imhotep.
Yeah, I just mean like I don't know if they do this in the California version with the fake out ending.
I'm
Do they
not
do that
sure.
in the California version? In the Florida version, they have a fake out ending where it's like a fake disembark one, and it's done really like tongue in cheek and comedically. Where then the mummy comes in and kills the ride operator, and it's like, nope, ride's still going.
Oh no,
And I feel
huh?
like
I
that's
had no idea about that.
oh well, sorry, spoiler.
Yeah, right.
But they add
No,
a
that does
couple
not
of
happen in California at all.
okay then. They have a couple of like more tongue in cheek details like that mixed into the ride that I feel might be difficult to translate to the 30s version.
Honestly, the Hollywood version sounds like it'd be easier to translate.
Yeah, I mean, not like it's a ton of things. I'm sure they could translate. I just feel like you lose some of the charm of the ride.
I know at the beginning they have the cast member that's mummified.
Yeah, that one too would be tough to do with the 30s setup.
Although to be fair, you could just like there'd still have to be cast members working the ride. So,
True. So it's not that it couldn't be done. It's just my understanding is that the one from the 30s is a lot more serious.
uh-huh.
So tongue in cheek stuff might stand out a bit.
Okay, so Ride of Frankenstein. I got to admit, Pie. I don't want to be mean here, but I hate that name.
Yeah. I
uh,
like the pun that loves dumb puns, love it, but I'm with you. It's a bit too cheesy.
That being said, I like the idea of kind of like a science experiment themed drop tower. I think that works kind of naturally well.
Yeah, it
Like, I almost
sounds
picture
really
it
cool.
being a more well done version of the Maliboomer, where the Maliboomer was like trying to have a theme to it.
I didn't even remember the Malibu having a theme.
The Maliboomer's theme was it was supposed to be one of those hammer games where
Okay.
you swing the hammer down on the bell and then the little thing goes up and hits the bell.
Okay, I didn't. I mean, I was younger when I was in California Adventure. I thought it was just like California Screaming, where the theme was it's a roller coaster.
Well, no, like I said, it's very loose, but technically it was supposed to be a game of skill.
Okay, that's neat.
So, like I said, I imagine with Frankenstein it'd be a little bit better. I don't
Yeah.
know how good the theming on Doctor Doom's Freefall is.
Uh,
Non-existent.
it's not non-existent, but it's like kind of cheesy and over the top how they do it.
Okay, fair enough.
But
I
if
imagine
you
it'd
did
be something
it,
similar to that.
yeah,
Well, what you totally need to
something.
do is you need to have a sound clip of "It's alive, It's alive! Right as you launch.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and
that's
then
mandatory.
have some lights that flash like thunder striking when you
Right, right.
first launch too. It could be really cool if they do it right, even if
You
it
know what
just
would be
has
great?
the like,
They could totally do like a
what?
young Frankenstein overlay of this too.
Oh, they could. Oh yeah, they could even have one side be actual Frankenstein, one side be young Frankenstein. Have two different towers going at once.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Maybe a little too many shows here.
Yeah, because I got the one show, the scare show, the comedy show, the haunted house, the meet and greets.
I would absolutely sign off on Abbott and Costello, though, out of all of those.
Yeah, I think that the Wolfman scare show and the Castle Dracula could have been combined.
I agree. I agree. I think Abbott and Costello, though, is something that could work with live entertainment just as well as something like the Blues Brothers do.
I agree. It feels like just such a perfect fit as a tribute to like the old school Universal monsters, but allowing you to have some fresh feel to the comedy too.
Right, right. Also, we should skip over the boat ride because I like the idea of it. Basically, either a Black Lagoon version of Jaws, which sounds freaking incredible when you think about it.
Oh yeah, I missed that Jaws ride. That was incredible.
Yeah, I never got to do it.
Diagon Alley is great, and I love it, but I'm never gonna not miss Jaws.
Well, we still have Bruce in Hollywood, at least. It's not the same, but
Yeah, you got at least a little bit there.
he's still there, jumping away at the trams, barely even in the water.
Yeah, it's something. It's something.
All right. Love Cheney's is the name of a restaurant.
Yeah, it's really neat and clever.
Uh-huh.
Ego's Colic is one that struck out as me as being something that could be pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah. And that's
And
about it. I don't have much to say about the shops or anything.
yeah, I don't know the practicality of having a one-on-one fortune teller as like an actual fortune telling booth in a theme park, but
Isn't
other than that,
Ollivander
yeah.
set up in a similar way though, where you have like one-on-one stuff?
Well, Ollivanders, they take back like a group of like 10 to 15 people, but
Oh,
they
I
only
didn't know
pick
it was
one
done in
person to do the
groups. Okay.
experience. It's a whole group of like a couple different people, but they just pick
Gotcha,
one
gotcha. I
person
didn't
from the
know.
group.
I just didn't want to wait in line for that. So
It's a neat experience. I won't wait more than like 5 to 10 minutes.
I hear
Unless you
you.
got a little kid who you think they'll pick.
All right. So yeah, folks, that's about it for our thoughts on this park. We'll be back. You know what, Pi? Unlike last time, I'm actually going to check and see what the length of the rest of the stuff we have is.
Yeah, I was looking into that a little bit. I haven't read much of the shops and resorts yet, but the water park
We still
seems
have Seuss
about
Landing
the same
as
length.
well.
Yeah. Which Seuss Landings, I think, is going to be. I don't know how much we'll have to talk about with that one, even though it seems really neat.
To tell you the truth, I think we could stretch a podcast out of it just looking at the map and everything right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's different themed areas.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we haven't talked about a water park yet in terms of like that's a whole different thing to get into when it comes to design.
True. And this really is a water theme park. So
Sure,
give me a
sure.
chance to complain about Volcano Bay trying to call itself that.
Right, right. And Pi, have you been to Blizzard Beach? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I've been to Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon.
All right, I'm gonna go to Blizzard Beach on my trip, so I'm excited about that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's reopen some of the slides too.
All right. Okay, folks. So if you worked on United Universal, just think of this podcast as basically kind of like ways to maybe help you guys improve if you want to eventually expand on this. And if people do expand on it, Pi, I'm sure you and I would be happy to talk more about it. You know, if we got the same level of detail that we got with the other park, I'm sure we'd be happy to do a revisit of this.
Oh yeah, I love the sound of my own voice, so anytime.
All right. Okay, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. See you later.